It's a shaky video. I apologize. I'm in the car and the phone is on a little holder, but it's creating all this shakiness. I will try to hold it and see where I get. So for a really long time, I wanted to write a book. However, the book idea is starting to become further and further away from reality because I'm not a good writer. I have all the thoughts, but I don't have the talent to creatively put it together, or I'm very judgmental of my own writing and not knowing where to put, the correct punctuation, and I just don't want the lashback. For a time, I was looking for a ghostwriter, but I didn't come across one, so here I am. I will try to do what I call a channel. Don't know who's gonna watch it. Maybe just people in my family. I don't know, but there will be a lot of information on this channel. It's not gonna just be strictly, one thing or the other. It's gonna be various things, and hopefully something that people find interesting and want to hear me talk about. And so, yeah. Today, I want to kind of discuss the importance of knowing your body, knowing yourself. And a lot of the times we get wrapped up in worrying about other people, our loved ones, our kids, our spouse, our girlfriend, boyfriend, our partner, whatever. We're constantly worried about them, but not really so much concentrating on yourself. And it's important to know yourself more than anybody else does, because if you don't, then how do you know who to be? Back in about Thanksgiving time, I got a sudden urge to visit my aunt. I hadn't seen her in probably about a year. I haven't talked to her. I hadn't talked to her or anything. As a matter of fact, the phone numbers that I had listed for her no longer worked anymore. And so, I try to, she's not on social media, and I try to reach out to her from the numbers that I had, and just got basically that message back that said this number is no longer in service and those sorts of things. So I went by her house, and unbeknownst to me, I went there, and there were people coming in and out of her house, and people that I didn't know. And so I assumed that she had moved. I got out of the car, went up to the door, looked inside the house, didn't see any of her furniture, and was really kind of freaked out, like, where did she go? Saw the neighbor outside checking the mailbox, and luckily the neighbor was out. Told me that on Thanksgiving, her bathroom had caught fire, and she was staying in a hotel. So I contacted her at the hotel and went by and saw her. When I got there, I hadn't even taken my coat off good. I had probably just barely unzipped it. And the first thing out of her mouth, and you know how family can be judgmental, or, family is very, truthful. They don't sugarcoat anything. She said to me, "Are you pregnant?" No, I'm not. So I didn't get upset too bad, but it kind of hurt my feelings a bit. But I brushed it off and didn't think anything of it. Fast forward a couple weeks after that, her and I had went to go play bingo, and I picked her up, and she came back to my house for a little bit, and I'd taken off my coat and came in the house, and she said it again. Well, this time I was a little upset, because from that point up until the point where she asked me again, I'd actually been working out. I was eating healthy, consciously. I was walking at least twice a day. I was making better choices with my food. And so to have her ask me yet again if I was pregnant, that one stung a little bit. So at this point in my mind, I'm like, well, I'm almost middle age. Could be middle age depending on what you just decide end of life is. I'm, a couple months away from 40. I have 3 babies. I wasn't making the best choices in food, so I was kind of eating whatever, not really working out. So, it's expected to have a little weight gain around my tummy. I was out with a friend a couple weekends ago, and I was talking to her, and she's a doctor, and I told her, I said, hey, a couple people have asked me, am I pregnant? And I just assumed I was bloated and constipated because I have issues like that. And I was asking her what would be a good cleanse. She gave me some ideas of some cleanses to try. And so as I was leaving her house, I asked her for the name again, and she told me. And she says, I said, yeah, because I'm tired of people asking me, am I pregnant? So she'd asked me, she was like, you know what, are you sure you're not pregnant? Well, I was sure. I haven't been able to be pregnant for a while. The husband took care of that little piece. But I know for a fact that I'm not pregnant. So she asked me to lay on her couch. She checked my tummy, and she goes, well, it's definitely not bloated, and you're definitely not constipated. It feels to be a fibroid, one that is about, equivalent to being 5 months pregnant. And I couldn't believe it. I mean, you have symptoms sometimes of things, but you don't really think about anything could be wrong. So I didn't really check on it too much more than that because I didn't expect anything to be wrong. She'd asked me to get an ultrasound done and to make an appointment to see her later and follow up with her. I had the ultrasound a week ago Sunday. She called me on Sunday. When a doctor calls you, you just kind of get that sinking feeling in your gut that something isn't right. It wasn't a fibroid. She said that it was some sort of mass or growth, and that it was still pretty big, and that I needed to be checked, have my blood work checked to make sure that it wasn't malignant. I immediately went into crying. In your mind, when someone says these things to you, you automatically write yourself a death sentence. And not to say you can't think positive, because you can, but at the same time, the instant negativity just automatically consumes you. And the first thing is, what about my kids? What about, am I gonna die? And what am I have to go through? And what's gonna happen? So I went on Monday, so a week ago yesterday, I went to have the blood work done. That was the longest 5 days of my life. She called and told me that it was benign, so that was like the best news that I could have ever received. The overwhelming feeling of joy to know that something as big as she said was the size of a small watermelon. I did have an MRI on Thursday, and they were able to see exactly how big it was. But to know that something so massive wasn't malignant was the best feeling ever. So I left the office yesterday, which was Monday, and the decisions come with that to either have a hysterectomy with the removal of the mass, or to not have a hysterectomy, or what to do, because I honestly at this point have choices and options, and I've opted to have a hysterectomy. The emotional distress behind that, you can't imagine. You know for a fact that you don't want more kids, and yet somehow that feeling is overwhelming because it is literally taking every possible option away from you, even though you already know in your mind, we're done. My husband has had a vasectomy now for a couple years, but yet in my mind, it's taking away an option for me. And again, I don't want more children. It's just an emotional attachment to something that's in my body. Does it make me less of a woman because I don't have those parts anymore? Or, you know, what if? What happens? You know. So, I said all of that to say that here I was walking around with this mass in my body and didn't even know. Yeah, my stomach's a little big. It looks like I'm pregnant. But I never imagined in a million years that something would be in there that would be causing me to have those issues. And all it took was for me to question a couple things that I didn't notice before, that I started noticing, to get that understanding that you have something growing inside of you. My follow-up will come soon. And I plan to document my journey as I go. And while you don't know me, I feel that it is important to share experiences so that other people have an opportunity to know and to understand that it could happen to them, or they know what it feels like, or any of the above. But I am very grateful, and that is my takeaway. I am very grateful that it could have been worse, and it's not. So, alright, well, here I am. I hope this video is going to be one of many. But if you want, like my video, subscribe to my channel, comment, share, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.